see if everyone is ready to resume. Ms. Ms. Adams, then Ms. Black, and I believe we're still waiting on Ms. Trousdale. Yes?
We are, and Miss Williams, Miss Trousdale has been in contact with Miss Williams, and Miss Trousdale is running a little late.
Okay, all
The
right.
department would like to announce that we are dismissing our case against Mr. Todd.
Very good.
We made an agreement, and he's satisfied that part of the agreement, Your Honor.
Okay, all right. Very good. And the department did indicate that possibility last time, I believe. Okay, I believe we have Ms. Trousdale, and there's Ms. Williams. Yes.
Jed, can you hear me?
Yes, Ms. Trousdale. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to ask you to wait.
Oh, not at all. We're just taking announcements or about to. The department did, and you're probably aware of this, perhaps. I don't know. The department has agreed to non-suit dismiss as to Mr. Boyd Todd, who is present, and as well as the respondent mother. They're both present virtually.
Okay. No, I did not know that, but thank you, Judge.
Okay, thank you. All right, so announcements then, Ms. Adams and Ms. Black, and then Ms. Trousdale.
We are ready to proceed in the case involving Ms. Gigout.
All right, again, the court will note the mother's presence. Ms. Black, announcements.
We're ready to proceed, Your Honor.
Okay, thank you. And Ms. Trousdale.
I'm ready, Your Honor.
Okay, all right. Very good. Then Ms. Adams, you may call your next or your first, as the case may be.
Your Honor, are you accepting our motion to dismiss on Mr. Todd?
I am. I hereby am.
Okay.
And I will sign an order to that effect. So ordered.
In addition, Your Honor, we put on a great deal of evidence last week. Do you want us to re-put on the evidence again in regard to the mother?
I would not need that. Ms. Black, any response from you?
I would not say we need to re-put on the evidence, but largely the last hearing we focused on Mr. Todd. So I know that somewhat there was discussion regarding Mrs. Jago, but you know, I know that there's some questions that could only be answered by her. So
certainly. So, and it was somewhere between bear with me just a second. Either way, I'll take judicial notice of it. And with that, Ms. Adams, you may call your first.
Thank you, Your Honor. I call Ms. Holder.
Thank you very much. You all remind me, please, if the rule has been invoked.
it was not, Your Honor.
Okay. And I don't know, can someone tell me who Ms. Olivo is? Olivo?
The supervisor for Ms. Holder. We're standing in for the supervisor of Ms. Holder.
All right. So as I understand it, the rule has not been invoked. So you may proceed, Ms. Adams.
Thank you, Your Honor. Ms. Holder, we've already established the reason that the department entered into this case, correct?
Yes.
All right. And we basically, after that, we went into our communications with Mr. Todd.
Yes.
And let's talk about our communications with Miss Jago. Miss Black, is it Jago?
Correct.
Okay. That might be the first time I've pronounced it correctly, but I will try. Tell me about your communications with Miss Jago. When's the first time that you attempted to communicate with her?
My first attempt with Ms. Jago was October, I want to say October the 18th, after the case was reassigned to me.
Okay. And tell me about that attempt or communication with her.
Well, I gave Ms. Jago a phone call and just kind of let her know that the case had been reassigned to me. She advised me at that time that she and her paramour had an attorney and that she would not be willing to interview with me at that time. She advised that she would not, like, she had no issue with me seeing her children, but she just did not want to conduct an interview without first speaking with her attorney. She also advised that she had taken a subsequent drug test for her attorney, at which time she said that I can get those results from that attorney, and she provided me with the attorney's information.
Okay. Did you ever receive those results?
No, I reached out to the attorney, and the attorney advised that he was not representing her in this matter.
Okay, so it was a different attorney
Yes.
than Ms. Black.
Yes.
Okay, do you know the name of that attorney?
I do. His name was Mr. I don't know off the top of my head. I can't get it though. I do have it in my documentation.
You just don't know it off the top of your head.
No.
After you called and found out that he was not representing this Mr. Todd or Miss Jago, what did you do next?
I reached back out to Miss Jago and I requested, I advised her that I had not been able to get the information she advised. And I asked if she would be willing to meet with me, just for me to be able to kind of sit down and educate her a little bit on substance abuse, and so that I can make contact with the younger child and assess the home. And she allowed me to come to the home at that time to do that.
Okay, and on what day did you go to the home?
I want to say that it was November I want to say the 8th.
Okay, so early in November?
No, actually it was December the
Okay.
1st when I made contact at the home with Miss Jigow. I did make contact at the home in November, but she was not at the home at the time. That's when I talked to Mr. Todd, but I didn't speak with her until December the 1st is when we sat down and spoke.
Okay, December the 1st. So on December the 1st, is that the first time that you were able to see the children?
That's the first time I was able to see the younger child, Cole. I had saw Adeline at school already.
How were both of the children at the home or just the younger child?
Both, just the younger child on December the 1st.
And what condition was he in?
He appeared healthy and alert and happy.
All right. Tell me what you saw when you went into the home.
Well, when I went into the home was like a single family home. It seemed to be like there were no safety concerns. I mean, the kids had toys like strewn throughout the home and things like that, but there were no safety concerns. There was food. Cole had appropriate place to sleep. He had a crib. She advised that she was practicing safe sleep with him. Adeline had her own room. She didn't have a bed for the new baby yet, but she had advised that she would be getting a bassinet to bring that child into the room with her.
Okay, was that child born yet? The new baby?
No, that's the child she's pregnant with.
Did you have a conversation with Miss Jago?
Yes.
Okay, tell me about that conversation.
Yes, we spoke. We just, well, I asked her about her marijuana use and tried to kind of get some details surrounding that. She advised that she really didn't remember anything about her marijuana use. She said that she no longer uses marijuana. We talked about her mental health. She said that she had been cleared by her doctor in the past and that she didn't want to move forward with anything as far as the mental health was concerned. I provided her with like some resources on like substance abuse and just how it affects exposed infants, how exposing infants to substance abuse can affect them. We spoke about like what her plan was going forward with the new baby and how she was going to cope with that. I offered her daycare and she declined that just to kind of help her out, being that she had 2 kids at home and that baby seemed a little bit very bonded with her. And so, yeah, so we just kind of.
Was there any, did you ever have another conversation with Miss Jago?
I had a conversation with her after that. After I spoke with my supervisors about her working services. Actually, I had a conversation with her that day again and advised that, they wanted her to work those services. She declined. After that, we staffed with legal. The only other conversation I had with her was just to let her know that we had staffed with legal and filed for court order services. At that time, she offered to go and take a drug test. And I advised that, at this point, it was kind of redundant to do it that day. And so that's the last conversation we had.
When's the last time that you saw the kids?
December the 1st.
What are you asking of Miss Jago? What services are you asking of Ms. Jago?
We're wanting her to submit to a substance abuse assessment and follow our recommendations, as well as receive substance abuse education. Also a mental health assessment and follow any recommendations that come about that, random drug testing, and as well as just allowing us to see the children on a monthly basis once her case is transferred to family-based services.
What's the Maternal Child Network?
Maternal Child Network is a community-based resource that allows that works with the families in the community to just kind of connect them with other resources that they may need to address any concerns in the home.
Okay. Would you like it court ordered that she reach out to them to find out what the resources are as well?
Yes.
Okay. Do you think that any of the children would qualify for an ECI assessment?
The younger children, Cole would qualify due to his age.
Okay. And do you think that that would be important?
Yes.
Tell me why.
I feel like it would be important only because Ms. Jago has a history of smoking marijuana and drug use throughout like the last couple years within the time he was born. He did seem very attached to her. I couldn't tell, like he did not seem like he was not like on target or anything like that, but it just wouldn't hurt to have that done before he's 3 so that if there are anything that they identify that they can address it now before he goes.
And would you like that court ordered as well?
Yes.
What is the reasoning behind the substance abuse assessment?
The substance abuse assessment is being requested because of her using marijuana while she's pregnant, as well as just having a history, again, of drug use throughout the course of having children. And so the assessment is just to kind of determine, like, to gauge her level of use and address any concerns with substance abuse that she may have.
And it's a psychological assessment that you're asking for?
I believe the mental health would be more of a psychosocial. I'm not sure that they're wanting the whole psychological. I think it's more of a psychosocial, just something to kind of determine what would like what makes you, continue to use substance abuse while you're pregnant. Okay. Things like that.
So just like a mental health assessment. So essentially the lowest level of mental health assessment that we can ask for to see if there is.
Yeah, she hasn't ever expressed any type of deep mental health concern. She has expressed having postpartum and things like that, being that she is currently pregnant. That is also a thing that may happen in the coming up future. And so, it would just benefit her right now to go ahead and have that assessment done.
All right, pass the witness.
All right, thank you, Ms. Black.
Yes, Your Honor. And so, Ms. Holder, you stated for the court that the case was reassigned to you after, and your first contact was 10/18/2023, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Do you have knowledge of what happened with the case prior to it being assigned to you, or did you receive any information? What information did you receive?
Prior documentation advised that that the prior worker met with Ms. Jago while she was in the hospital and spoke with her about the concerns as well. At that time, she also advised that she had an attorney and that she did not want to interview for the department. It was noted that she did get to see the children at that time, as well as assess the home.
Okay. Were there any notes about, you said she saw the children, were there any notes about what happened when the prior worker saw the children?
No.
Were there any notes about the condition of the home?
No.
And were there any concerns listed in the notes?
No, there was just an interview.
Okay. And you noted that Ms. Jago told you that she had taken a drug test. Did she tell you when she took that drug test?
She did.
When did she say she took the drug test?
On October the 18th, when I met with her, she said she had taken a drug test maybe a couple weeks prior to that.
Okay. And you stated that she never provided those drug test results to you.
No, she told me I would need to get them from her attorney.
Do you have knowledge as to whether or not those drug test results were ever provided to anyone else?
No,
And do you know if anyone else requested those drug test results?
I don't.
And you said you came to the home for education in November and she was not at home. Did you speak with anyone at that time?
In November, I believe that's when I talked with Mr. Todd.
Okay. And just to recap for the court on your previous testimony, did you notice any concerns with the home environment at that time?
No.
So you had your first visit on December 1st and you saw Cole. Now, you noted that you felt like he would benefit from an ECI evaluation.
Yes.
So did you notice any delays at all?
No.
And you stated for the court that Ms. Jago had used marijuana throughout the last couple of years, which included her pregnancy with Cole. Do you have any documentation of that?
I never said she used marijuana.
You said throughout the last couple of years, she had used drugs, which included the time period that she was pregnant with Cole. Do you have any documentation of that?
Through criminal history checks, it just shows that she's had a history of substance abuse dating back to the first case that we received back in 2021 against her.
So you said through criminal history checks, what specific criminal offenses has she been convicted of that indicate drug use?
None that she's been convicted of.
Okay, so there's no criminal history of her being convicted of drug use. Is there any other documentation, any drug tests or anything that states that throughout the last couple of years, Ms. Jago has used marijuana?
No.
So when you made that statement, was that your personal opinion?
I didn't say marijuana. I said substance abuse. No, ma'am. That was a assumption coming from the fact of her being arrested for substance abuse, arrested for drugs in the past, as well as past CPS, and just the information gathered there, and just overall all of the background information that was obtained on Ms. Jago.
And who obtained that background information on Ms. Jago?
Myself.
Did you personally look for and obtain it, or was it something that was given to you?
That's something that I personally researched myself.
And did you personally order those background checks?
I ran her criminal history and her CPS history. Yes.
But other than that, there's no clear documentation that states she's used marijuana throughout the past 2 years.
Nope.
Okay. And so without any documentation of marijuana use during her pregnancy, and without any drug test results indicating that she used marijuana during her pregnancy with Cole, do you still feel that based off of those things, he should have an ECI evaluation?
Yes.
And what are the reasons?
Well, it's just, it's a preventative thing, because once he turns 3, he won't be able to have that ECI evaluation. And so it's just more or less of a preventative measure for him, being that he is at the age for intervention at this time.
Correct. Have you ever received any records or requested any records from Ms. Jago regarding Cole's health?
No.
Did you ever request any documentation from her regarding whether or not he has regular visits to the pediatrician or anything like that?
I did request. I was denied.
And when did you make that request?
When I spoke with her on December the 1st, I requested that she sign a HIPAA form, in which she declined to do.
And you requested that she sign a HIPAA form asking for what specific things?
For me to be able to reach out to the children's pediatrician so that I can confirm that there were no concerns noted by the pediatrician for the children. And that was denied.
Okay. Was there a reason given for the denial to you?
No.
And so, you pointed out that there was not a bid for the child that she's currently pregnant with. Are you aware of when Ms. Jago is due?
She told me she was due in February.
And so at this time, it was a few months when you visited. It was December 1st, so it was a few months before she was due.
Yes.
Okay. And was that your only concern that you noted about the
Yes.
home environment?
I mean, that wasn't a concern. It was just something that we discussed that, you know, she advised that she would be getting the baby a crib, and it was 3 months out, and so that wasn't a concern.
Okay. And so I'd like to call your attention to your affidavit that you completed and filed with the courts.
Mhm.
Do you have a copy of that affidavit?
I do.
And Your Honor, I would like to offer that affidavit as Respondent's Exhibit 1.
No objection.
All right, thank you, Ms. Trousdale.
No objection.
All right, respondents number 1 is hereby admitted without objection.
Do we need to share it on the screen or?
You may, Ms. Black, I have enabled the screen share. Just reminding you that we are on YouTube in order to maintain open court.
Okay, I don't really have a redacted copy available.
Your Honor, I'd like to make a motion that the privacy of the children, based on an unredacted affidavit that's about to be offered, and I believe admitted, outweighs the right of the public to watch this hearing.
All right, any response, Ms. Black and/or Ms. Trousdale?
No objections to that, Your Honor.
No, I would agree with the judge.
All right. And so that is granted. The court agrees and does find that the children, in fact, the family's right to privacy. All right, yes, we are. Ms. Jago has been sworn. Ms. Black, you may proceed.
Okay. Mr. Jago, could you state for the court your understanding of why we are here today for the motion to participate in services?
My understanding was that it was said that I failed a drug test when I was in the hospital, and that's how this case became about.
Okay. And were you informed by the hospital that you had tested positive for any type of substances or drugs at all?
No, I wasn't.
Were you ever provided with any documentation regarding any tests and labs or anything that were taken while you were in the hospital during this time period?
No.
And when you looked at your chart for the hospital, were there any drug test results listed shown?
Yes.
And with those drug test results, well, first, what hospital were you at?
Texas Children's Pavilion for Women.
And those drug test results that you just referred to that were in your chart, in your personal chart, you reviewed those drug test results?
Yes.
And those drug test results, were they positive for any substances?
No.
What date were those drug test results from?
September 21st, 2023.
Okay. And are those the only dates for drug test results that you're aware of?
Yes.
Okay. Your Honor, I do have an exhibit, which is Respondent's Exhibit 3, that is some drug test results from her chart. It's a note, it's the results from her chart.
I've never seen them, Judge. I'd need to look at them before I mean, I could just object that they're not in admissible form, but I'd rather look at them.
Sure, of course. Ms. Black, if you could emailed those to Ms. Adams and to Ms. Trousdale?
Your Honor, if I may, could you put me in a room with my client, Miss Holder, and Miss Olivio, and Miss Williams?
Yes, I certainly will. Stand by, please. All right, it looks like everyone is back ready to continue, Ms. Adams.
We are, Your Honor. I object to the exhibits as hearsay and not in admissible format.
All right, thank you. And I assume these would be respondent mothers numbers 2 and 3.
Yes.
Your Honor.
Okay, and you've objected as to hearsay and improper form as to both of those, Ms. Adams?
Correct.
All right, thank
Well,
you.
yes.
Ms. No. Okay. Ms. Trousdale?
Yeah, I mean, I agree with her objections. I don't really care if they're admitted, but I agree with her objections, so I think she's correct.
Okay, any response further, Ms. Black?
No, Your Honor.
Okay, all right, respondents numbers 2 and 3 are hereby denied.
Okay. And Ms. Jago, could you come off mute, please?
Yes.
Okay. So have you previously taken drug tests?
Yes.
And have you previously informed the department that you have taken drug tests?
Objection, Your Honor.
Yes.
Hearsay.
Have you previously informed the department that you've taken drug tests? Was that the question?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay, overruled. You may answer.
Yes.
The drug test that you received, were the results that you had negative?
Yes.
Objection, hearsay, Judge.
Yeah, sustained.
Have you ever had a positive drug test within the last year that you're aware of?
Objection, Your Honor. Hearsay.
Sustained. I want to make sure that you all heard I sustained the last 2 objections, both as to hearsay.
Yes, we did.
Okay, right. Sorry, thank you. You may continue.
Ms. Jago, do you have a substance abuse problem in your opinion?
No, ma'am.
Have you in the past admitted to DFPS having an issue with drugs?
No, ma'am.
Have you in the past admitted to DFPS having an issue with postpartum depression?
Yes, ma'am.
Can you state for the court any history of postpartum depression that you've had?
Yes. After I gave birth to Adeline, my oldest daughter, who is 5, I was very sad afterwards, and I had postpartum depression.
Can you state for the court how you felt during that time?
Very sad, lonely, just like the baby blues.
Did you take any steps to address that?
Yes, I got a psychiatrist. My OBGYN had told me, I think that you're experiencing some of the baby blues and postpartum. So she had me see a psychiatrist. That was her recommendation. So then because I told her how I was feeling at the follow-up appointment.
And were you given any type of medication or recommendations for counseling when you saw the psychiatrist?
Yes, I was put on a depression medication.
And what medication was that?
Zoloft.
And do you know the dosage of that medication?
50 milligrams.
And have you had any side effects to that medication? Oh, I'm sorry.
I'm sorry. Let me hear the milligrams again, please.
50 milligrams.
Okay.
And have you had any side effects to that medication?
No, ma'am.
Was it recommended for you to participate in any type of counseling due to the postpartum depression?
No, ma'am.
Have you ever tried yourself?
No, ma'am.
Have you had any desires for self-harm?
No, ma'am.
Do you feel like the medication that you took was helpful?
Yes, I do.
Do you still take the medication?
No, ma'am.
Were you released from the medication by the doctor, or did you just stop?
Yes, by the doctor.
And about how long did you take that medication?
Roughly around a year and a half. I was seeing a doctor at the Women's Place at Texas Children's.
To your knowledge right now, okay, let me ask you, were you ever educated about the symptoms of depression?
Yes, ma'am.
And so do you feel like you know the signs of depression as they applied to you when you were experiencing postpartum?
Yes, ma'am.
Currently, are you experiencing any issues with depression or any symptoms of depression that you're aware of?
No, ma'am.
And do you feel like you would know if you were experiencing symptoms of depression?
Yes, ma'am, since I've experienced it before.
Okay. If you were in the future to begin experiencing any symptoms of depression again, would you be open to addressing that with your gynecologist or your psychiatrist?
Yes, ma'am.
And do you feel like it's important, if you were to begin experiencing any issues with depression or any other mental health issues in the future, to follow up with that?
Yes, ma'am, definitely.
And did you experience any postpartum depression after you had Cole?
No, ma'am.
Did you experience postpartum depression after you had your daughter Claire?
No, ma'am.
Okay. And what kind of parent do you feel like you are in general?
I try to be a very active, alert, patient, and loving and understanding parent, honestly.
What do you feel like your main strengths as a parent?
My main strengths are probably just how loving and attached my kids are to me and how active I am. I'm a stay-at-home mom, so I'm able to be very active in their lives and I'm able to really be hands-on, whether it's from school lunches or taking them out to ride bikes or things like that.
Okay. In the past, were you offered daycare services by DFPS?
No, ma'am.
Okay. And when you were initially asked to take a drug test and stated that you had already taken one, did you refuse to take another drug test, or did you just...
Objection, Your Honor, leading.
Sustained.
How many times have you refused to take a drug test with DFPS?
I'm unsure. I don't feel like I've refused.
So if you don't feel like you've refused, could you explain why you feel that way?
I've basically told them, I've already taken a hair follicle. I'm willing to give y'all the hair follicle, the drug test that I've taken, and they weren't interested in it.
And why do you believe they were not interested in it?
Because they didn't ask me for the results. They didn't ask for me to provide them. And I would go like months, a month, 2 months without even hearing from them.
Okay.
I'm
sorry.
When you say them and they, are you referring just to Ms. Holder?
Yes, for the CPS worker.
Right. And you're not referring to anyone other than Ms. Holder?
Correct.
All right. Next question.
Do you remember speaking with anyone other than Ms. Holder?
No, ma'am.
Okay. And has anyone else other than Ms. Holder been out to your home that you're aware of?
No, ma'am.
Do you feel like you need to complete a substance abuse assessment?
No, ma'am.
And can you explain for the court why you feel that way?
Because I haven't ever failed a drug test for any drugs. So I don't think that I need to complete a substance abuse assessment. I've given drug tests that show that I'm negative as well.
Have you ever been under the influence while caring for your children?
No.
Have you ever had any drug treatment?
No, ma'am.
Have you ever been court ordered to participate in any drug treatment?
No, ma'am.
And do you feel like you need to complete mental health treatment or a mental health assessment?
No, ma'am.
And can you explain for the court why you feel that way?
Because I have sought out mental health, a psychiatrist before in the past when I had the postpartum and I've had an issue.
Okay. Are you opposed to participating in drug testing at the request of DFPS?
Yes.
And why do you feel that way?
Because I've never failed a drug test for them to have these allegations against me that I have a substance abuse problem.
And have you ever been informed that you tested positive for drugs at the births of your children?
Objection, Your Honor, hearsay.
No.
Sustained. I'll disregard.
No, ma'am, I never have.
Pass the witness, Your Honor.
All right, thank you, Ms. Trousdale.
I don't have any questions for this witness, Judge.
Okay, thank you, Ms. Adams.
Thank you, Your Honor. Ma'am, have you ever used marijuana?
No, I haven't, like, in a very long time.
Okay. Objection, Your Honor. Non-responsive.
Sustained. Ms. Jago, listen very closely to the question. Answer only what you're being asked.
Have you ever used marijuana?
A long time ago, yes.
Okay. Objection to a long time ago, and that yes is the response to the question.
Sustained.
How does marijuana make you feel?
I can't really remember because it's been such a long time, honestly.
Okay, so you don't remember how you're saying you don't remember how marijuana makes you feel?
No, I don't.
So I don't want to use the names of your kids because we're on YouTube. So you have an oldest child, and that child is how old?
5.
Okay, and then you have the second child. How old is that child?
1.
All right, and you also had a child that that died in infancy. Is that correct?
Correct.
And how old would that child be?
3.
And what were the circumstances around that child's death?
She died of SIDS.
All right. Where was she sleeping?
In a bassinet.
All right. Was she on her tummy or on her back?
Her back.
All right. And what room was she in?
The bedroom.
Whose bedroom?
Mine and my significant others at the time.
Okay. So not Mr. Todd.
Yes.
Yes.
Sorry. Was it Mr. Todd?
Yes, it was Mr. Todd.
Okay. Were you both there the night that she passed away?
No, we were not both in the same bedroom.
Who was in the bedroom the night she passed away?
Me.
Where was Mr. Todd?
Sleeping on the floor in the living room.
For what reason?
He has degenerative disc disease. He had herniated a disc, and so the only place he could sleep was on the floor.
Was there a CPS investigation regarding the death of that child?
No.
Were you on Zoloft at the time of the death of that child?
No.
Were you under a psychiatrist's care at that time?
No.
Did you go get any counseling after that?
Yes, I did.
And how long were you in counseling?
I think 3 months.
Do you feel like that you adequately addressed the loss of being, as far as you could at that time, the loss of your child?
Yes,
Not that you'll ever get over it, or I don't want to say anything like that.
of course.
Did Miss Holder come to your home?
Are you talking about in December?
Yes.
Yes.
And did you have a discussion with her?
Yes, we talked briefly.
Did you discuss marijuana usage?
No.
Did she ask you if you used marijuana?
No.
What did she ask you?
She asked me like how the kids were doing and questions like that. But I had told her that I didn't want to have really an interview. I just wanted her so that she could come over and see the kids, see how well they were doing, but that I really didn't want to discuss anything with her without my lawyer being present. And I didn't feel comfortable.
Was that lawyer Miss Black or a different lawyer?
That was a different lawyer at the time.
Did you ever have a conversation with Miss Holder about marijuana?
No.
Did she ever ask you if you smoked marijuana?
No, not that I can recall.
Did she ever say anything about daycare?
No.
Did she suggest that your 1-year-old could potentially be would benefit from daycare?
No, ma'am.
Do you think your 1-year-old would benefit from daycare?
No, ma'am.
If you were offered daycare, would you accept?
Sure.
You would?
Yes.
So if the court under this ordered that the child needed to go into daycare, that would be fine with you?
Correct.
Do you think that he could benefit from daycare?
No, not really.
Was your 5-year-old ever in daycare?
Yes, she has been in daycare.
When did she start daycare?
So she was in daycare for some social environment whenever she was younger.
Like, how old was she when she started daycare?
I'm not sure, to be honest. Because she only went for a few months.
When's the last time that your 1-year-old went to the pediatrician?
He just went for his 1-year-old checkup, actually.
Do you object
which was November.
Do you object to him getting an early childhood intervention assessment?
I'm not really sure what that is, to be honest.
Okay. Would you be willing to hear about it? Not for me, because that's not my forte, but would you be willing to hear about it and discuss the possibility of an ECI assessment?
Yes, ma'am.
I know that a constable went to your home multiple times trying to serve you with papers. Were you aware that a constable was looking for you to serve you with papers in this case?
No, ma'am.
Did your husband ever, did Mr. Todd ever tell you that there was a constable looking for you?
No, ma'am. And his office is right by the front door, so he would be able to see right out the window.
Okay. Did you ever hear anyone knock on your door?
No, ma'am.
Where were you when Mr. Todd was served?
I believe I was still in the hospital.
And what were you in the hospital for?
Hyperemesis.
Are you currently on any medications?
I'm on citranatal, which is a prenatal vitamin, because I have low iron. I'm anemic.
Any other medications?
No, ma'am.
Are you currently under the supervision of a psychiatrist?
No, ma'am.
Pass the witness.
All right, thank you. Back to you, Ms. Black.
No further questions, Your Honor.
Okay, thank you, Ms. Trousdale. Any other questions of Ms. Gigo?
I do not have any questions for her, Judge.
All right, thank you. Ms. Black, you may call your next, if any.
We rest, Your Honor.
All right, thank you. Any witnesses, Ms. Trousdale?
No, sir.
Okay, all right. Are we ready for closing arguments then?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay. All right. With that, Ms. Adams, you may begin or defer.
I'll defer, Your Honor. I'll defer first closing.
Okay. All right. Thank you. Ms. Black, you may proceed.
Yes, Your Honor. We're here today regarding a motion to participate in services. However, Ms. Jago wholeheartedly denies any positive drug test results or any positive drug screenings, and DFPS has produced no documentation that a positive drug test occurred. Additionally, the services that are being asked for, which include a mental health assessment, do not appear to be warranted under the evidence that is presented today. And additionally, drug testing also does not appear to be warranted with the evidence under the evidence that is presented today. We ask that the relief requested by DFPS be denied.
All right. Thank you, Ms. Black. Ms. Trousdale.
Judge, I'm not aligned with the department as far as all that they're asking for a service plan. But I think that a drug and alcohol assessment would be appropriate based on there's not been any drug testing specifically to address the concerns that the department has mentioned, as well as concerns from the past that have come up in her previous cases. So I think a drug and alcohol assessment would be appropriate. I don't think there's any evidence there that she needs a mental health evaluation or a psychosocial evaluation. I don't think there's any evidence there that an ECI needs to be done for the children, or anything that would support any other services other than an assessment. And then once that's done, Judge, they look at that and we go from there. But that's about it, honestly.
All right, Ms. Trousdale, thank you. Ms. Adams.
Yes, Your Honor. The way I saw the evidence is that Ms. Gago was untruthful in multiple answers to her questions, and evasive in other ones, and that these children are in danger of abuse and neglect if court-ordered services are not ordered at this time.
All right. Thank you all.
And Judge,
Yes.
And Judge, I'm sorry. I would add, I said the drug and alcohol assessment. I don't believe there's been a drug test to test levels specifically for THC. That would be the only other thing I think I left out, that if the court felt it appropriate, just to test for those levels if they're really high, because I believe that may be an issue. But other than that, I just want to add that, Judge. I'm sorry.
Okay. All right. So with that, anything else? Thank you from you, Ms. Black or Ms. Adams.
No, Your Honor.
No, Your Honor.
All right. Thank you. Okay. Let's take a 5-minute recess and I'll be back with my ruling.
Thank you, Your Honor.
As you all well know, Chapter 264.203 in the Texas Family Code provides that the court shall deny at the end of the hearing the department's petition unless there be sufficient evidence for a person of ordinary prudence and caution that abuse or neglect has occurred, or that there is a substantial risk of abuse or neglect, or that there is a continuing danger to the physical health or safety of the child caused by an act or a failure to act of one of the parents, and conjunctively and importantly, that services are necessary to ensure the physical health and safety of the child or children. Inasmuch as this court has found at critical places in the case, both respondents have been evasive and disingenuous. That said, the court does hereby find that there is not sufficient evidence under the law to issue the requested order, and so the court would hereby deny the department's petition. As much as 4 months, the children, by all accounts, have been safe, happy, well, and provided for. Now, Ms. Gigot, I can only hope, and I suppose time will perhaps tell, whether this legal jeopardy, this legal machinations, puts you on sufficient notice. So that's the ruling of the court. Is there anything else from anyone else? If not, you all are excused and we are adjourned. Anything else from anyone?
No, Your Honor.
No, Your Honor.
All right, then thank you all very much for your time, your work, your advocacy. And with that, you're excused and we are adjourned.
Thank you, Judge.